What is up, everyone? My name is Sahil and I am a second year UBC Medical School student, and in today's video podcast we'll be interviewing my good friend Shreeka Devi and talking to her about how in the world is she a lawyer at 21 while also balancing all the other things she's doing and her mindset while getting through that. But first, let's cue the intro. And welcome back. If this is the first video that you're watching of mine, I want to say a big thank you and welcome to our YouTube community. On this channel, I like to make health and fitness videos, medicine-related vlogs, travel vlogs, and other fun videos just like this one. Now, if you haven't already, please do make sure to go subscribe and smash that like button so YouTube knows that you guys enjoy watching these videos. And this video specifically is part of a special series, which is my Ask a UBC Med Student video podcast series. So in case you don't already know, this podcast or this video will also be available on Spotify. It's also available on Apple, Google Podcasts, and everywhere else where you guys want to watch or you guys listen to your podcast. So do make sure to check that out. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. So for today's video, I'll be interviewing and chatting with my good friend Shreeka Devi, who is a lawyer only at 21 years old, and she's practicing as well in the States. Now, I've been following Shreeka's journey on Instagram and TikTok for quite some time now, but haven't actually met with her. So this is gonna be my first time, and I can't wait. Let's go do that now. So welcome, Shreeka. Thank you so much for being here today. I know you're super busy. I won't take up too much of your time, but I am so excited to actually meet you. I've been following you on Instagram for quite some time now, and TikTok for that matter. So yeah, why don't we just get started? Like, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into law school? Like, becoming a lawyer?
It actually all started when I was about 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
So the backstory of everything is in Washington State, that's where I grew up. We're allowed to do college and high school. So I jumped on that as soon as I figured out what it was. You have to take an active placer to determine how intellectual you are to place you in those classes. And if you pass with a certain number, I forgot what the score was, then you have access to all of the college classes. And I took that test, kid you not, 4 times. My dad paid $200 each time. I was like, I am taking this and I am doing this because I did not like high school at all. I did get bullied actually. So that kind of influenced and fueled my urge to just get out of there, but not get out like as a dropout, get out as in like be something and get out so people just leave me alone.
Right.
And this happened at a really good time. And being an immigrant, you see how the legal system kind of, takes advantage of you, especially in America. So that was another thing, a pillar, as you could say, to encourage me to go towards law and help immigrants like me. I initially wanted to do immigration law, but then COVID happened and I had to take whatever position I could find.
Fair enough. So this test that you're talking about, is that something that you can start doing in the States like anywhere, or was that only offered in your state?
That was offered it's only offered in a handful of states at the time. Now I don't know. Right, that was about 5 years ago?
Okay.
6 years ago, something like that, yeah. So I basically graduated high school my sophomore year because I graduated with about 32 credits and you need 22 to graduate.
So as a Canadian, I have no idea what sophomore and all that stuff is. I only know first, second, third year.
Oh my gosh, we're talking about that. Okay, so freshman year, right? That's how old are you when you start that? 15? 14?
When you start high school? Yeah, I think.
Something like that. You can't drive yet.
14,
so you can drive.
Yeah, you can drive. I know you graduate at 18 or 19.
That was something that was because I was one of the youngest people in my class.
Okay.
And that was something that the school district was using against me. So I don't qualify for Running Start. They're like, you won't be able to get yourself to class. And I begged my dad. I was like, Papa, I will be a doctor if you just drop me to school.
Oh God.
That's what his dream was. He's like, I want you to be a doctor. I was like, And I did. I initially started doing some of the nursing courses, pre-med courses, just to see how I feel about it. And let me tell you, I am so proud of you and I am so impressed by you because that is so hard. That is not for me. It is not. I am not cut out for that.
Well, I could say the same about law as well, right? Because I have no idea how to do law or any of that stuff.
Yeah, but let me tell you. it's not as challenging at all compared to like being a doctor. That is just not everybody's cut out to do that. I know it's like a thing for Indians and like South Asians to go into medicine or something like that, or engineering or law, but everybody wants for their kids to be a doctor.
For
And I
sure.
was like, well, my parents was like, that's not for everybody. Like it takes a special kind of gut to do that. Like that's not possible for some.
I totally get where you're coming from. I know what you mean. Like there's a different level of like precision, and you need a different level of dedication and attention. But I think the same can be said for any like the three: engineering, law, or medicine. Like you need a different mindset to be in any of those careers, right?
Definitely. But being a doctor or like just being a snippet, like not even a percent, I think it was like 0.5%
Yeah.
of what your life is. And I was like, oh my gosh, no.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you made the right decision, like, and you're happy with what you're doing, right? So.
This actually happened on its own,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was like, should I get a business degree or should I get a law degree? And a bunch of lawyers wanted to get business degrees, like MBAs and all that stuff. And instead they decided to get a JD, and it helps you actually in the business field in corporate America. If you're an attorney or you have a JD, you don't even have to be like admitted to the bar, but it gives you a one up on everybody else. So I have a friend actually who graduated from Harvard, and he's in LA. He works for a startup, and he identifies as an entrepreneur. He doesn't like to call himself a lawyer. And I'm like, well, why not? He's like, it's an oversaturated field, which it is. And not a lot of us will tell you that because we like to keep the prestige to ourselves, but it's like an MBA. Almost everybody wants it.
Okay.
It's very, very, you need it, of course. It's very prestigious and reputable on its own, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of us out there, and there's like apps and websites that do majority of the job that we do, such as drafting contracts. It's super easy. If somebody just needs the basics, you go on like, I don't know, Law Depot or something, and they have it. That's like the one that off the top of my head. So It's very oversaturated, and that's why basically some of us who do it, we just do it as like an elite business degree.
Interesting. I've never heard of that before. Wow.
So that's insight that not a lot of people will tell you.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes.
So do these online resources, like, are they the same as like actually talking to a lawyer? I'm sure there must be some differences.
I'm not gonna lie, I used it twice before I wanted to go into medicine because my dad has like residential real estate. So I used it to draft up like a basic addendum and contracts and stuff. And I found it very resourceful, and it was in layman terms. It's easy to understand compared to how us lawyers, like we like to use fancy words sometimes when we don't need to, right?
Yeah.
So I found that to be really enlightening. Like I like that, and it was easier for like my parents to understand. They're immigrants, right? They don't really know the elite English that I do. And so he loved it. He was like, this is amazing, this is phenomenal. And then I was like, interesting. But then when I got into law school, I was like, oh my god, that is like nothing. Like we have to do so much extra stuff. So I feel like sometimes the resources are ideal. However, they don't give you the full insight, just like when you go to the doctors, right? Like each person, each patient, you don't know the full insight until you actually meet them and diagnose them and stuff. So the same thing with lawyers. Like, yeah, they can use those resources. It's helpful, but it's for the long run, like you need to know what the whole backbone of your company or corporation is, whatever it is that you're looking for, to get an authoritative answer or something to just be your collateral in case.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes the resources online, like they're a good starting point for other people, but if you're a lawyer or if you're a doctor for that matter, or any professional, like you're supposed to know the ins and outs, right? So like I won't lie, sometimes for my classes, sometimes I'll look at like the differential diagnosis online, and the information will be there and it'll be pretty good, but it's not exhaustive. Whereas the textbooks, Up to Date or BMG, like the different websites, they have all the information like how it should be in all details too. So I mean, looking at online resources, you should always be cautious of that, looking at the source you're getting it from and different things like that. But it's an interesting point you brought up. I never knew you could do that for law as well. What kind of law are you practicing now?
So right now I do corporate. So like insurance, I work for a startup insurance company. I do mergers and acquisitions and then contract drafting. I do arbitration a little bit, but I don't like to litigate. I don't like to go in front of the judge and do all that.
Yeah.
So for that, we have contracted lawyers who actually, we give them that contract to go to the judge or go to wherever you have to do it, and they do it for you.
Interesting.
Yes. So I definitely use that route a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. So earlier, Shreeka, you were talking about how your dad wanted you to become a doctor, right? And then you didn't agree. What was that like fighting against that? I mean, you still became a lawyer, which is still a professional, but I mean, for other people who are probably thinking like, hey,
my dad was nobody in my family has a degree or anything. Everybody just got done with high school and they just got a job, which is amazing. Hustle at whatever speed you want, right? And so for my parents, it was very, very important that we become something professional, have a degree, this, that, the other. If we weren't, it's completely fine with him. Like he's a hard ass Indian. Like he's a self-made millionaire, billionaire, knock on wood. And for him, it was very important that we have something that we don't just rely on him. And we never were raised like with that privilege that comes with all that money. He made us work for everything. And I wore my brother's hand-me-downs. I was a tomboy for like 3 years of my life. Oh, wow. And that's why he was like, you need to be a doctor. I was like, why? He's like, because that's like the general thing, right? I guess in our society, like that's looked as respected, reputable, and all that. I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Definitely, for sure. And I gave it a try. Genuinely did dedicate my time. And I was like, I don't find joy in doing this. Like I do love helping people, but I can't do it in this sense. Like I love arguing. I am very persuasive and I love debates. I really do. And then at the time, I think it was my second or third quarter at college. So the quarters here, or not here, but in Washington, it works like 3 months. So you get to take about 15 credits. And I took about, I think 25 credits just because I wanted to get done with everything like as soon as possible.
And you probably aced all these classes too, right?
No.
Okay.
I definitely, my GPA was about like a 3.5 to 3.9.
I mean, that's still not bad. It's at a 4.0 there, right?
I was passing my classes, and that's all that matters to me. I was passing my classes. I was able to, because it's really hard. It's very expedited. It's like a whole entire high school year put into 3 months.
Of course, yeah.
So that kind of, I guess maybe that kind of intimidated me away from medicine too, but then I never really gave it a second shot to discover if it was for me or not. Yeah. But that all, I guess, scared me away from medicine. And my dad didn't like that at all, because I secretly took dual classes because I liked law. So I took like an introductory law class, and then I took like the biology classes and stuff. And I wasn't paying attention in my bio classes because I was looking at casework and all that stuff from my law class. And I found myself so passionate about law. And then I was like, oh my God, what do I do? Like my dad's gonna be disappointed. Keep in mind, at that time, I wasn't as rebellious as I am. I get known as the black sheep in the family because I don't listen to anybody. And I'm okay with that. I don't really care. I mean, I feel like to be successful in anything and to pursue your passions, you kind of need to be like rebellious and to a certain extent and create your own path. Like I think Arnold has a really great quote about that. Don't break the law, but break the rules, right? And we're all surrounded by rules, so. And my dad is an epitome of that. He's very, very strict. Growing up, he was really strict, and we never went against him. So for me, when I stood up for my ground for my career, he wasn't happy at all. We spent about a year arguing, not talking properly. I got to an amazing Ivy League school in America. And my dad said no because he wanted me to go to University of Washington, stay at home in front of his eyes and control my environment and everything. That's how he is. That's how he thinks he can protect us, by controlling the situations that we're in. Right. And it took a lot of guts because I had never stepped foot outside of Washington without my parents. And I decided I was like, if I don't do this now, I'm going to end up regretting this for the rest of my life. And I've always been someone to listen to my heart. So I packed up my things, I booked a one-way ticket to England, and I literally dipped. That is crazy. I can't even imagine. And how old were you? I had just turned 18. I literally had just turned 18. Wow. I knew enough law to know. I was like, you guys, bye. Those introductory law classes paid off, eh? Definitely. That was like about 7, 8 classes. Yeah. Wow. But going to a whole different continent at 18. Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham made me fall in love with England, not gonna lie. And when I got it, this is not what I expected. Yeah. I've been to London a couple of times. It's raining there. It's like Seattle though. So I was completely fine adjusting. Fair enough.
I feel like the rain there is different. I don't know what it is. It's just more mucky. I mean,
It is.
Vancouver is known for its rain too, but
You guys are like my neighbor. We're neighbors.
yeah, we're like 3 hours away.
Yeah. I was always up in Vancouver, even when I was in school, like every other weekend. We have so much
really?
Yeah, I'm more close to my cousins in Canada than I am in Seattle. So I would make a drive and like, we have to see each other. But it's been about a good year or two since I've seen them, which kind of sucks.
Well, next time you're here, we'll do a podcast in person.
Oh, yeah.
Social distancing, though.
Hopefully we don't have to do that then.
Yeah, hopefully all those protocols are down by then.
Yeah.
Well, wow. How's that experience like being there alone, like in a place where you don't know anyone? I can't imagine that. And then like knowing that you're going against your parents.
I cried the whole entire flight, because I was like, I knew my dad, but I didn't know my dad because I thought this is it. I'm disowned. I'm done. And he did disown me actually for a while. We were arguing. We were not on talking terms. He financially was not supporting me, and I couldn't get a job in England, obviously, at the time. And I didn't really know anybody to get a job and anything. So that was a bit tough, but it taught me, like survival mode. And that was like, not even in my own backyard. That's a whole other country.
Right.
But an asset was English, common language. I bet if I was like in Germany or something, I would probably not survive.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was an asset. I was really quick to make friends, so they did help me out. And at the time, I was talking to someone, and he was a good support system, but he had his own intentions, which I'll probably get into later on. But it taught me that I can survive in any given situation, and I didn't know that about myself. But that kind of shows me that I would also be a great representative too for somebody, because I was able to relate to a lot of people coming back to like now in present time, like with clients and stuff, because of the hardship that I went through. I know what I say hardship might not be hardship for other people, but to me that was my hardship, my personal hardship. And the whole culture of England was definitely different than America or Canada, because Canada and America have kind of similar culture. England was a whole other like field. It was just everybody kind of doesn't like America over there, but they want to come to America. So I would always get bombarded with questions about like Trump, and I was like, listen, I don't live in his house to tell you what he's doing. I was like, I don't even pay attention to our government like that. And and racism is really, very like it's still very much alive in England, especially towards South Asians, which really scared me. I was on a woman in her hijab. She got stabbed right in front of me. She was literally like not less than 6 feet away from me, and she got stabbed.
What? Right in front of you?
In front of me, and
this is in broad daylight?
Yeah, on the bus in front of everybody. And somebody was like, "Oh, another one for the day." I was like, "What? What do you mean another one?" It was common for people to assault one another because of racism, and that was like very, very shocking to me. Coming from America, like we're very vocal here about everything, and then to see that and nobody say anything about it, it wasn't normal, Yeah,
for sure.
And it did scare me a lot, because I'm a woman of color, I'm brown, and I'm American. In England, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. I thought that for the first full year. I'm not even joking. I was like, I'm gonna die. Until like I made friends and I like kind of grew, a backbone.
Cool.
Yeah, but up until then, it was not something I expected at all. It's like how people see America, like all butterflies and rainbow and sunshine. And once you come here, you gotta work your ass off to be somebody here.
No, for sure.
Anywhere, right? So in England, I had this whole entire because she could become thing. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so fun. Everybody's nice, which everybody is nice, but everybody's also very distant. Doesn't like you. They're mean.
I think you can say that statement about anywhere in general, though, right?
You definitely can, but England has changed.
And there's like bad areas too.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was my bad luck or something, but it was very common.
Actually, I'm actually very passionate about like these whole topics of gender equality, inclusivity, and diversity. And I've done a couple of research projects on these things, specifically for like academia. But racism and gender inequality is actually pretty prevalent in European countries, much more than you see here. But that being said, I live in Vancouver, and I used to drive out here to, like, I live near English Bay right now, and I used to drive out here all the time, like every year, and no problem at all. But now that I live here, I literally get stared down, and I still can't believe it. At first, I thought maybe I'm like lifting weights really heavily, or maybe I look really good. Maybe that's why they're staring at me. But now I realize that most people haven't seen like brown people here, or
Yeah,
not in that frequency, I guess. But I am just shocked with how many stares I get here.
I believe that. I mean, I kind of experienced the same thing when I was in New Orleans, because not a lot of
I've been there too.
not a lot of Indian people live in New Orleans. I barely saw any.
Yeah.
And anytime, anywhere I would go, I would get stared down. And I was like, I need to get a mace or something. I was like super scared because I was living alone and I was back in America, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Survival mode.
Well, I guess like knowledge is power, right? Like now you know the laws, the rules. If someone says something, you can like file, I don't know, a case or something against them, right? I don't know.
Definitely.
You can do something.
But I don't like to use it. Like, it doesn't really identify me, my career, and like being a lawyer. I don't really like to just throw it out there and throw it around. Like, I do know a few of my colleagues, they love doing that. Like, I made a video. I don't know if you saw how I was in a conversation with one of my colleagues, and he's like, Shreeka, we have a JD. I was like, uh-huh. He's like, we can, like, he's like, I started using doctor with my name. I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? He's like, I love it now when people call me Dr. Daniels. And I was like, doctor? I was so thrown off. I was like, listen, dude.
I saw it on your TikTok. I remember. I had no idea what a JD was, though. I was like, wait, what does that mean? Like anyone who...
So, did you look it up? Or
no, I didn't. I was scrolling. I've been busy with that.
A JD for like law. Once you graduate, you get a JD depending on whatever route you take. So I do have a JD. My degree qualifies as a JD. So it's identified as a JD in the States, which I'm thankful for because it's only a bachelor's in the UK, but it also qualifies as a JD.
I see.
Yeah.
So a doctor then.
I mean, I could definitely use the doctorate thing, but I don't because, again, I don't like to boast about it or have it identify me and be like the whole, you know, highlight of my life. Even though it's an amazing thing that happened to me, yes. Yeah. But we were talking. He was like, "Yeah, I was talking to one of my clients, and I was like, this is Dr. Daniels. It felt good." I was like, "What do you mean? Like, if my lawyer said, hey, this is Dr. Daniels," I would like hang up right there. I'd be like, what did I call? And that got me thinking. I was like, wow, that's what got me thinking. I was like, see, we are oversaturated as attorneys. So we look at ways to make ourselves seem special and more, you know, more educated or more shiny. So people come to us. And I was like, doctor is a title that people love. And they might think you know a lot about medical malpractice, which you don't. So don't do that.
Right. That's a great point you brought up, though. Like, there's a lot of people I know who have the title of doctor, even if they're a medical doctor, and they decide not to use it.
Yeah.
And do you think that's something like more like a way to keep yourself humble?
Disassociate from work, I think.
Dissociate from work?
Yeah.
I know
I do too, actually. My whole circle has been doctors, honestly. I have dated doctors. All of my close friends are doctors.
Right.
I don't know why. I have more intellectual conversations with them, and then they also teach me things that I didn't know. And then I also teach them stuff. Like, obviously, you're gonna take advantage of a lawyer if they're in your circle, right? Just like I take advantage of all the doctors that I know in case I have a question. And then they're like, I'm not allowed to give legal advice, yes, but I'm gonna admit, like, yes, I will drop a few hints here and there as to what you should do for, like, in terms of your contract, or if you want to extend it or not, or if you want to go, you know, just stuff like that. I have some knowledge to be able to give them some kind of feedback, legally, of course.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like, yeah, we don't use the doctor. And I'm like, why not? At first, I was really, you know, like in the clouds, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna use ESQ, Esquire, which is like another name for us, everywhere. I'm gonna just use it. And one of my friends, he's about like 40 something, he's a neurosurgeon, and he was like, why would you do that? I was like, why not? He was like, when you're at work, you have all that stress, all that pressure. When you're outside of work, don't you want to disassociate yourself? I'm like, well, doesn't that already happen when you leave? I'm like, no, because your title sticks with you, it becomes you, then you become your brand, you become all of that, and then you won't be able to have a private life. And I was like, that makes sense, because with him, you can't tell he's a doctor outside of work.
Right.
At all, because nobody knows him as that, right? Nobody calls him Dr. Bhakta, like people just call him Arvind. And I'm like, huh, yeah, why? I said, because that's why. Like, there's a lot of people who do like to be doctor 24/7 on call all the time, even though you don't need to be. And I respect that. And he's just like that too. Like, if he sees an accident or something, he will go up, he will help out, anything, of course. But he's like, unless I don't have to be, I'm not gonna be, because I'm also a separate person.
Right.
And I was like, wow, like that never hit me until like he sat me down and explained that to me.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm not gonna associate myself with my work completely, because I am a different person. Like, at work, I'm very professional, and I am a bit on guard and I'm a bit of a hard ass, because I am young in my field, and people like to think they can step all over me and, you know, it's like bossing me around. I'm like, no, we're equals here, so you need to accept that. So I'm a whole different persona there. And then outside of work, I'm Shreeka, like I'm bubbly. I'm not at work, they can't even say my name, so they call me Miss Devi, right? Not even properly, it's Miss Devi, but they call me Miss Debbie.
I just gonna bring that up. Do you like whitewash your name for everyone?
Too. That's actually how that doctor title, that doctor conversation came up, because my friend was like, your name, it's so black. I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's Shreeka. I'm like, well, you're saying it like that. It's Shreeka. Right? It's Shreeka. That's how we say it. And he was like, oh. And then he was like, maybe you should like get a nickname. I was like, what? He's like, what about Shrey or Rika? I'm like, okay. That's not like totally being delusional.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like for myself, like I'm guilty of it too sometimes. My name is Sahil, but when someone asks me, sometimes I'll say Sahil just because I want to make it easier for the other person. And like, I think even I've done that for my YouTube videos too, because now it's just a part of me. Because I always just sort of say, hey, I'm Sahil, but I forget to say it. And then I have to think about it and remind myself that no, actually my name is Sahil.
It is. And you know what? Before I had to do the same thing. I'm like, oh, hey, my name is like Shri or something, because a lot of people just wrote it down like that.
Yeah.
And I thought my name is pretty easy to pronounce. It's literally exactly the way it's written.
Exactly. It's pretty simple.
But it is. But people find Devi much easier, but then again, they're not even pronouncing it properly.
Yeah, Devi.
So I had to sit down at work one day and I was like, it's Devi, which means goddess, which means put respect. But
that's a beautiful last name. Devi actually means goddess.
You know what my full name is actually? Shreeka. The KA was added for like numerical purposes, and my grandma did this. My actual name is Shri Lakshmi Devi.
Lakshmi, oh my god. Dude, you are gonna make money.
And you know, my family's so religious to the point that they actually believe that. Like my dad, he definitely gets my input on everything, and I think they manifest it. I don't think that, or maybe I am, I don't know, but I believe in manifestation, like the law of attraction and all of that.
Yeah,
so I feel like my father gives me that power by believing that whatever I touch or do or assist him with is gonna excel. It does, yes. But I'm like, that's because we put in the hard work.
Yeah.
And that's how you manifest the positivity, the prosperity. But I feel like, you have to believe in it for it to be real. And I'm like, Papa, you definitely believe that I am Lakshmi for it to be real. Otherwise, no. There's so many people with the same name as me.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like manifestation is a real thing. Like, I know science doesn't prove it yet, but I mean, if the greats like Oprah Winfrey talks about it, has implemented it, Steve Harvey, Tony Robbins. Sorry, who was that?
Abraham Hicks, have you heard about? Yeah. Yes?
I don't think so. I'll make sure to look into him.
Yeah.
But I feel like there must be something out there. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much being said about manifestation for it to be a hoax.
It's real. I mean, I was talking to an influencer friend of mine. He's a doctor as well. I don't have his permission to drop his info, so I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna be a bit little. But we were having this conversation over lunch, and he was like, some people are so ignorant. I was like, why? He was like, because you're sitting here, you're an intellectual person, you have a whole degree and stuff, and I'm sitting here and I like to think I'm intellectual. I was like, okay. I was like, you're a doctor, of course you're intellectual. And he was like, we're all made of stardust, right? When there's full moon, it controls the waves and everything, and our body is made up of water majoritively. So for you to sit there and be ignorant and not think that the stars, the frequency, manifestation, like if it's not real, but you do admit that you're made of stardust and that everything else kind of controls your environment, your mood, that's just a high level of ignorance right there. And I was like, oh gosh, I never knew that people were so into this and actually believed it to this kind of extent, because it's kind of looked at unorthodox to talk about it. Like people such as us or anyone in general, nobody likes to talk about it. They think you're a hippie or something if you talk about stuff. And I was like, well, I'm from Seattle, we're all hippies, so I have no problem talking about it.
Yeah.
And I broadcast it so much because it makes more sense to me than being religious, for sure. And it took my parents a while to come to terms with the fact that I am more spiritual than I am religious. Of course, now growing up a Hindu and a Sikh, both of it, I respect it, definitely, and I do still follow it.
Mhm.
But I resonate more with your vibes are what bring everything in your life. You know, you have
I
to
agree.
you have to listen to those binaural beats. You have to put those positive affirmations in your life. You have to think positive to attract positivity. And then you lose all the negative vibes, which definitely took away a lot of people from my life. And I'm thankful because I never realized how negative they were. They were like energy vampires. They just steal everything and just all that light and positivity. And then you're just stuck there in a mutt, like all depressed, even though you're not. It's just people stealing your energy and negative. And I was like, wow. Like there's just moments in my life that have like made me sit down and be like, oh my God, the universe is real. The law of attraction is real. This is real. This is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I think regardless of whatever people call it, whether they call it religion, energy, vibes, street knowledge, or whatever, there's something in the world, right? And I feel like the moment for me where I really started believing that is like when I when I was trying to get into medical school, actually. Like that whole year during my gap year, I was just manifesting things, like starting this YouTube channel, started it then. And then I had this vision to start a company like Fitness for You. I was like, hey, I need to start something to help more people. And then slowly you implement, you work towards it, and it happens and it becomes a reality. And then so many people benefit from it now. So small things like this, and then getting into medical school, I think was the ultimate for me. Like if I could see it at one point, I believed it and I could speak it and it actually happened.
Yes.
I mean, the sky is the limit, or the moon is the limit.
Moon is the limit.
We were talking about this yesterday, right?
I was like, Sahil, no, don't just limit us to the sky.
Of course, there's footprints on the moon. Why can't we get there?
Through TikTok. And then I've made amazing friends. Like the TikTok, he's super, super nice in person. He's literally exactly how he seems on social media. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you're probably the first person I've met that matches exactly what you show. And that's why people love him so much.
Great.
Compared to other people, yes, they are what they show, but they're very different in person than what they are. And he's so genuine. And I was like, and he inspires me to be that too.
Oh, he inspires me as well. I think when I first started TikTok, I was so nervous about making like TikToks in general, because I was like, hey, I'm a med student. Should I even be doing stuff like this as a professional? And then I would see this guy doing such cool things, making videos not even about medicine, just like dancing, having a good time, playing basketball. And I was like, hey, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. And then I even messaged him saying like, hey, you really inspired me. When I had like my first video, I think went viral, but it wasn't viral compared to yours. Like it wasn't millions, but it was still in the 100K. So I was pretty excited about that. But yeah, Jay was super nice. I remember messaging him on Instagram. Yeah, I think people like that who are just so real, it shows like on your in videos, on social media, and it goes a long way.
He is someone who really inspires me to stay true to myself. Yes. But then I also want to disassociate myself from work because it's not my life. And he was like, yeah, you should definitely do that. Like, it's not for everyone to be associated to work all the time. For doctors, of course, you guys. And like, yeah, for me, like if I see something, I will say something, right, in public. And if I have to go all lawyer mode, of course I will. But that doesn't like, I don't carry myself as that all the time. I feel like people who do that have a certain boasted ego that you don't really need to have. We're all here doing our own thing on a separate journey at a separate, speed.
Yeah.
So we don't need to compete or anything. And I feel like people forget that. Like when I go to the gym, for example, like I look fit, I'm not fit. Like it's just for show. It's just to feel nice about myself. And I look at somebody else who is not the same as me, right? They're probably smaller than me and they lift so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. And then there's somebody else over there like judging her, like, oh my God, there's like, she has no weight. Like there's no meat to her. She's this, that. And I was like, that's something that the gym scares me because of that. Like every person judges you the second you walk in and they're always staring at you. And it just makes me super, super uncomfortable. I'm like, we're all here with a different, we're all here doing something different at a different speed, at different, level. We shouldn't judge. We should probably encourage. Like if you see somebody's form off, go help them. If you see somebody struggling with weights, go help them. If you see somebody who doesn't have a water bottle and you have an extra one, go give it to them.
Exactly. Kindness is literally the key to a good life. And I was just talking about this on my Instagram yesterday, so it's so interesting you brought it up. But the example I always give for people, even to my clients when they ask about, hey, like I feel intimidated going to the gym. is you wouldn't go to a hospital and start laughing at the patients, right? You wouldn't look at them and be like, hey, you're in the hospital and I'm not, and compare yourself. Like, you support them because you know that they're in the hospital to better themselves. They're there to receive treatment so that they can get out and be a functioning member. So similarly, like when you go to the gym and someone's judging someone for lifting not heavy weights or being skinny, like I feel like that's so uncalled for, because you're there, someone is there to better themselves. They want to get better. They want to feel better, gain weight, lose weight, whatever that might be. So I find that so funny how that happens, and it shouldn't be happening.
Excuse me, of course not. It shouldn't. And I realized, I was like, wow, I feel confident. And then the second I walk in the gym, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh God. I think, yeah, I think it definitely requires a mindset shift.
It is. It definitely is. But I've seen it happen way too much that it just kind of turns me away from the gym. But I do like the fact that it pushes me more into nature. Like I go on walks over here, I go on jogs and stuff, I work out at home, which also does not give me the excuse like, okay, if I'm working from home and I get the job done and I'm working out at home, I should be able to put in the workout every day, right? Like you have no excuse to do it. And that it has helped me, yes, because then I'm like, okay, I can work out with my own body weight, I can do this, that, the other. Now, not as muscular as you or anywhere near as intellectual when it comes to exercising as you are. I follow Blogilates. Oh my gosh. Dude, downloaded her app and I did like a 15-minute ab workout. My abs were sore for 3 days straight and that has never happened. And there was no weight, nothing.
Who is this?
Blogilates.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh my God, I forgot her name, but she's amazing and her workouts are killer. I do like the 15-minute ones every day.
Okay.
I'm sore every single day. Like I did my arm workouts. I was complaining the whole day. This is still sore. Like I'm complaining right now. Yeah. That was like 3 days ago. And
that's a good pain though. You're proud of it. Like in the moment you might be like, hey man, why am I doing this? Like I don't want to be working out. But then the feeling you get the next day makes up for it.
Yes. And you do feel so much more energized and like, oh my gosh, like I do like it a lot. Yes. But I will always complain because yes, that's something I do.
Yeah, totally. And I totally agree that you feel more energized after, because that's something that I'm still trying to implement into my schedule, because we have like these things called CBLs in the morning, which is basically like from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. On Wednesday and Fridays. Before it was Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. We look at cases. And usually when I would go in person and I didn't go to the gym before, I would just sit there quietly because I didn't want to say something wrong. And I wouldn't really contribute as much as I could have. I did all my work, I had all my notes, but I wouldn't say anything because I was so scared of saying something wrong. But then I changed it up. My CBL instructor talked to me. He's like, hey, you really need to start speaking up and like talking more. And I was like, okay, what can I do? So I started going to the gym an hour before CBL. And I would feel, and then I would finish my workout. I would do like cardio, get the endorphins going, do some abs, and then make it a CBL on time. And by the end of it, I felt like I was another animal. Like I had the energy. I felt like, hey, I didn't want to do the cardio because I hate cardio. I hate running on the treadmill, but that's something I force myself to do.
I do jump ropes.
Boring about it. Yeah, and that's amazing.
Probably like a 12-year-old or something. I don't know. I can run, yes. I just don't like to be sweating all over everything.
You should see me at the gym. I'm literally dripping. And my new gym doesn't even have paper towels, so it's quite the scene. But yeah, so I started doing that, and I love talking now in the morning because I feel like I'm in a different mindset. I feel like if I've been able to do this task of running on a treadmill, waking up early, drinking my protein shake right after, and things that I didn't want to do, then I can definitely go and overcome any of these obstacles, which are literally just in my mind. It's not like anyone in the class is going to be judging me. Well, yeah, they're not going to be judging me. They're all there for the same purpose, to learn, right? So.
But I do agree with that so much. And COVID, quarantining, I quarantined in Seattle for like 4 months. That was the longest time I spent with my parents ever since I left like 4 years ago. 3-4 years ago, yeah, that was the longest time I ever spent. 4 months at home with them.
What? Wow.
It was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm ready to dip. You guys I love you, but like I can't do that. But I was there and I realized that The days I would wake up like about 7, 8 o'clock and I would immediately go on a run or a jog with my brother. He's so into fitness and everything. And he would like get my ass out of bed. He's like, no, come on, we have to go. So like we would go run around the neighborhood and everything. And like his old high school was there. No, old junior high, sorry. And they have like a whole track and field thing. So we would run and like do everything and be home like around 10, 11 o'clock. And I would feel like, oh my gosh, I have to this, that, everything to do. And like, I would just like boom, 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 done. And the day that I would not go jogging or don't do anything physical, I would rumble out of bed around 10, 11 and just be a couch potato all day and be like, oh, I'll delegate this to like somebody else or I'll do it later. Like my dad runs a real estate business in Seattle, right? So I'm his right-hand guy. I would be there doing everything. So the days that I wouldn't feel like I want to do anything, I would just like tell somebody else to do it. And then I was like, the days I felt like that were the days that I didn't work out or didn't do anything physical. And I think that's like a mindset thing, because if I do something physical, that's like me kind of like subconsciously telling myself that, hey, if I can do this, everything else is a piece of cake. You know, like when you're running or when you're swimming and you come out of the water and you're walking, it's like, oh my God, walking, this is so easy. Right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
like that's what you kind of subconsciously do and you don't see it, but then that's like what helps you get everything done. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, but I think I'm very like psychoanalytical like that. So I do like I'm very aware of things like that, just so like I'm able to identify in other people. So I'm very observant, very, very observant.
That's a good trait to have though.
Being a lawyer.
Yeah, for sure, for being a lawyer as well. But I think in general for anyone, just being a very observant person, it's good. I mean, you pick up on small things that like most people generally wouldn't.
And I feel like it helps you when you interact with other people too. Like I'm very much an extrovert. I used to be an introvert, and then I had to change that. I was like, no, if you want to get somewhere, you have to talk to people and you have to wow people, and you're very persuasive. Use that. And sometimes I'm good to look at, sometimes I'm not, like right now. So the days I am.
Come on, you have to edit yourself. It was beautiful.
You're too sweet.
Thank you so much for taking time out to be on the podcast and for the video. Before you leave though, Shreeka, for our viewers and our listeners, is there any one piece of advice that you want to give?
I don't know how to like make this seem nice and sweet, so I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it. And just be like, you know, there's days where you don't want to do anything, but if you don't do it, then nobody else will. So you have to wake up at 5 o'clock or you have to go to bed at 5 o'clock, but you have to make sure the 24 hours that you're given, you do something with it and don't just waste it. Because even if it's 5 minutes of progress, that's still progress. And there's moments where we don't want to get up and we have to, because nobody else wants our dream more than we do.
That's true, right? That's so huge what you just said there. There's so many good points. Like Gary Vee says this, we're all going to die at one point or another. And I feel like death is the motivating factor. Like knowing that our time here isn't limitless, right? Like it is limited. So you want to make the most of it. And whatever that goal is that you're working towards, every step towards it is progress. The way I think about it is that if you're not constantly growing, you're losing. Like there's no in between. It's like if you're losing, you're losing. If you're staying neutral, you're still losing, because the world is progressing. You can't afford to stay the same. You have to be growing.
The world changes around you, and because you're in one spot, like by the time you come out, it's like everything around you. So I might be the change that people follow than having to follow the change that's happening.
Exactly. That's a great thought. Well, thank you so much for being here, Shreeka, and thank you guys for watching this video. If you do like it, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And Shreeka, are you going to join me for the closing?
Yes.
All right. Tons of peace, love, and gains for you.
I'm dazzled, got it ground like gravel, coming back around like lasso, macro, like a vision board I see with clarity. I hustle like my name is Gary Vee, for more than the wealth and prosperity. Accountants was talking about equity, I'm Triple H giving the pedigree. The meaning I'm special, my specialty. I put in the work till I'm dirt in the earth, I'm moving furniture to Beverly.